Hey everybody, welcome to the Mariah Effect podcast. I'm Mariah and let's get into it. So today I really wanted to talk about music because it's super important to me. I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before that it's probably one of my passions. It's been since I was a little kid, and it's kind of hard to find people who appreciate music the same way that you do, and I never really had that in my biological family before, not to any real extent. And so it's been really nice to have somebody in my life who does appreciate music almost more than I do in some ways. So today we're going to talk about music, and we have a special guest with us to talk music with me.
Hello. I'm Lucas, Mariah's brother.
Mm-hmm. I've talked about Lucas before on the podcast, almost always telling a stupid, funny story because that's kind of just our life, is stupid and funny. Lucas is kind of like the jokester of the family, and sometimes like it's perfect for some of us and sometimes it's not, but he's basically the youngest. He's one of two of the youngest because he's a twin, which is so weird, by the way.
You have such a weird thing about twins. I never understand it.
It's because there's so many horror things about twins, like in movies where it's like, what is happening? Like, what's wrong with this girl? Surprise, it's because there's an evil twin.
I've maybe seen that trope like twice, but
I don't think you consume like visual content or book content in the way that I do.
That's fair enough.
So I definitely think I've seen more of that in my life than you have, so I've been traumatized by it. I literally have a book over on my bookshelf in my room that's like called The Twin or something like that, and it was a horror book, but it was like I couldn't even finish it. I had nightmares about it, and I've had nightmares of like a twin of mine taking over my life.
That's wild, because I'm not even an identical twin.
You're not, and that's why like I like you. That's why I can be around you. But it's true, like I have such a weird thing about twins, but I think out of you and Lindsay, like you guys share the evil twin thing. Like it goes back and forth pretty often.
Yeah, we're pretty even on the scales of justice.
Yeah. Sometimes there's things that like you'll be so morally up about, and then sometimes you'll be like, do you think I could hit this kid when we're driving down the street?
Yeah, as a joke, but
yeah, as a joke. Sure.
I'm not actually gonna hit the kid.
No, I know, but like you fantasize about it.
No, I wouldn't say fantasize. Fantasize is a way of expressing like desire. It was more of like a intrusive thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want it. It just happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we're not as similar as I thought. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn.
I'm just kidding. But I think like one of the things that made me realize that you were so into music like I am is because like we have a Amazon Alexa in the kitchen at our house, and I feel like anytime like we're in the room for more than like 20 minutes or so and there's just this unsettling silence going on, Lucas is like, I'm gonna put on some music, and just puts on literally whatever he's into at the moment. And it's always, I didn't realize how like curated his playlists are, but they're like 30-year long playlists, each one of them.
30 years, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but
of course is it. That's what I'm great at.
Right.
But that's what makes that, I'm glad you get the joke.
Welcome to the joke.
But yeah, so like tell us all a little bit about like why you, like what makes you make these playlists the way that you do.
Well, for my entire life, I've grown up in a musical household. There's always been music, whether that be just because there's a lot of people in the family, or because like somebody's going to piano lessons or something. So music has almost been a consistent, like, background noise for the entirety of my life. Like, nowadays especially, you can go anywhere and there's music somewhere. So music has always been kind of there in my mind since the day I was born. But I found it's a great way to kind of escape from reality or kind of face reality depending on how you want to look at it. And so music has been really therapeutic almost for me for like my entire life. Anytime that I needed to kind of hash out some emotions, you just gotta put on the right song, and you can kind of deal with those or escape those if you need. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I've talked about it on the podcast before, like, because when I was growing up, a lot of my like reasons for hobbies were about escape because I didn't want to be where I was. And so, like, you know, jumping into books, like rereading Harry Potter like 5 bajillion times and watching TV, stuff like that was always about escape. And I feel like music became that way too because my house was very loud for not fun reasons. And so, like, putting in some headphones and just listening to music into the night so that I could actually fall asleep was a big thing. But then it became me listening to music and, like, hearing song after song that I know all of the lyrics to. And so I'm just laying in bed, like muttering the lyrics under my breath and not falling asleep. So it just became more and more big to me. And when I was really younger, I was doing like piano lessons. I did choir in high school and stuff, and so music just was kind of a part of me. And my musical tastes are kind of all over the place, not country, but everything else outside of that, I just bounce all over because for me it's about good, like, because I, you know, grew up with music in the piano way, and vocally speaking, like, chord progressions are really important to me, like making sure it, like, musically sounds good, and then also, like, the person that's singing, if they have a good voice, then I'm instantly pulled into it. So it's not really about the genre necessarily, it's more about the song itself. But yeah, my musical tastes are all over the place, but I will say that I'm pretty big into pop. Like, pop is the majority of my music.
Well, I think it's a very popular genre for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it's a very easy kind of music to get into, even if you're not a huge fan of music, just because it's so catchy and it's so upbeat.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to get into.
Isn't it called pop because it's popular?
Wow.
Isn't that what that's from?
I actually don't know. I don't think so, but
if you know, tell us.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that one, actually.
I'm probably going to look it up immediately when we're done, if I remember. But in case I forget, tell us.
Yeah. Love to know. But I'm a very big advocate on there are some good songs in every genre. Every single genre. There's at least one good song.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a couple of songs that are, I guess, considered country. More than I thought were considered country. There's a song called, like, Big Yellow Taxi or something like that I listened to that Lucas was like, this is country. And I was like, no, it's not. No way.
Yeah. Yeah. Rascal Flatts, considered country. So.
What's Rascal Flatts? Rascal Flatts is that one where it's, like, on the road or something.
Yeah, Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the cars. See, if you can get to me through Disney, you've got me.
Yep.
Because You've Got a Friend in Me, that's country as hell. But that's a good song.
Yeah, good song.
So what we're going to talk about today, too, is... like, I realized that Lucas was really into music because of that. And, like, anytime we'd get in the car to go somewhere, like, especially with our mom, like, he immediately takes over the what do you call it, stereo in the car, radio in the car, he'll immediately jump and Bluetooth his phone to it before anybody can do anything, so that way he can be playing his music. And most of the time we're having like conversations in the car with Mom, and so your music is like in the background, but it has to be your music.
Yeah, because if I'm not part of the conversation, I have to have something that I'm kind of contributing.
Yeah, he is pretty quiet during me and Mom's conversations because we're pretty gabby.
Yeah, you guys just talk. There's no room for me to butt in.
But yeah, and also like me and Lucas haven't always been super close. Like he's 7 years younger than I am, and so when I first met him, he was like 9. What was I gonna talk to a 9-year-old about? But now that we're both older and adults, like we started like bonding more and more and getting to know each other more and more. And his music was playing all the time, and oh my gosh, the number of times that Taylor Swift would come on used to drive me so crazy.
Yeah, there was a big moment in my life where, well, the majority of my life, Taylor Swift was a very prominent artist in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate her. Like, it wasn't hate. It was just, like, how overhyped some of her songs were on the radio. Because, like, before 16 or 17, when I was able to get my own, like, iPhone and actually had accessibility to music in that way, like, everything I listened to was on the radio or like through YouTube, like looking it up on my own. And so just the number of times that her videos and her music came up was so overwhelming that it made me not want to listen to her at all. But yeah, it would just come up all the time on his music, and I'd be like, T Swift again? Like, this girl again? Oh my gosh. And he was so adamant of like, you know what you're talking about. Like, this is so good.
You're just not giving her a shot, as I believe what I would always tell
Yep.
you. You're just not giving her any chances.
And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed. I think it's when her Midnights album came out or something. A friend at work was like, oh, I know this girl and she's really into Taylor Swift and you're into music. Do you know her music? And I was like, let's look her up. Like, let me help you out. And I looked up and Midnights popped up, and I was like, oh, she has a new album out. Let's listen to it. And I'm listening to Midnights album with him, and I'm like, this is good. This is a good song. And then I started listening to the most popular song with Mallory in the car all the time, and we would sing out to it, and it just got more and more, and then I was like, dang, this is really good. Maybe I should give her a chance. And so then I started listening to Evermore a little bit. I listened to Speak Now, which is the one album that I did know of hers. I listened to that again. I found out more about her drama and all that stuff, like all the like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, the reasons for all the Taylor's versions.
Yeah, all that intel. I got all that, and I was like, dang. And then I like did more research about her as a person and like the stuff that she does, like charities and things like that. I was like, wow, she's a good person. And like that changed me so much, you have no idea. Once I know somebody's a good person, watch out. I'm a big fan. And so now I'm definitely getting into that Swiftie place. Like I'm
You're getting into your Swiftie era?
Getting into my Swiftie era, and Lucas is like not so much into his Swiftie era. He doesn't really care about like the person so much as he cares about the music.
Yeah, if anything, more than anything, I try to avoid learning about people as a person, their artists, because a lot of the time they're not always very great people, but they make good music, and I don't want their reputation to taint the good songs that I already know. So I'd rather just kind of avoid that whole scenario altogether. And that's a very immature way of dealing with it, for sure, because I should probably care.
I'm just going to close my eyes,
Yep.
And I can't see it, and so I can still listen.
Yep, just close my eyes, pretend nothing else is happening. It's just, he just makes songs. That's all I know.
But, I mean, I think that, like, in some ways, getting into the, like, who they are as people sometimes can also be not necessarily immature, but can get like toxic because it's just like it's gossip.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, because everything that I learn about Taylor Swift is definitely from like news sources sometimes, but most of it is tabloid stuff or what her fans say on TikTok and stuff like that. It gets so crazy with the conspiracies, and it's funny. Like most of the time when I'm like taking in that stuff, it's like out of irony. Like I want to see this, and I think it's funny that people get so deep into it. But sometimes it catches me. Sometimes I get caught up into it, especially with like the meanings behind certain songs. Like that matters a lot to me because I care about lyrics, like what the lyrics mean. And if I'm misinterpreting what the artist was trying to come across as, then like I would like to know that. But at the same time, like music should be in the eyes of the
it's very much an art form.
Yeah.
And almost all art is in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are listening to music, if the lyrics are well written, which, oh my goodness, if they're not well written, then it can strike a chord in anybody. You can get you feeling those kind of emotions, no matter what emotion they're trying to provoke, if it's well written. And I think that you shouldn't have to be swayed by their personal experiences for them to have made a well-written song.
Yeah. I think like it's also difficult with Taylor Swift because she's so great at the writing, but it is so specific what she writes about. She makes it so personal to herself that it's hard to put yourself into it, and because that's what I usually do with music is I put myself into it and then it means something to me. But because it's so specific to her, I'm like, I don't own a red scarf. So I gotta pay attention to it like it's a story, like she's a character in a story, and I'm not a part of that. But like, so then I get wrapped up in like, okay, well then what's her story? Like, what is it about? Who is it about? What's going on? Like,
yeah,
that's I think how I get caught up into it. But yeah, so now I'm very much in Swiftie territory, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah,
but it's embarrassing to say the least.
All my life, I've kind of been like a genre jumper. Mm-hmm. I get really into artists for about a week or two and then move on to the next artist. Mm-hmm. So, like, I know a lot of songs by a lot of artists. And I guess Taylor Swift for me was a very, like, drawn out version of that, where, like, it lasted for, like, 15 years. And then I moved on.
Yeah.
And I've just kind of rubbed that off on you. So for the next 15 years.
So for the next 15 years, that's where I'm going to be, is sticking next to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love all her music. But I'm just moving on to other artists, other genres.
Mm-hmm. Which is why it was really hard for you to come up with a list of artists that are some of your top.
Yeah.
Which when I was telling Lucas about doing this podcast episode, I was like, I want to talk about music because that's what we have like the most in common. Like there's other things, but this is what we share the most. Like what I wanted to talk about was the music, and I was trying to think like what's an easy thing for us to do to be able to come up with together. And I was like, let me just list like let's just list 5 of our favorite artists. And he goes, what? I can't do that. How am I going to do that? Because, like, he listens to so many different artists. It's insane. Like, I feel like a lot of people that I talk to who listen to music or listen to, like, have music that they enjoy or they listen to a lot, it's like they get stuck up on somebody as their top person. And that's somebody that they keep coming back to. Like, as soon as that person has a new album, they're there. They're ready for it. And I feel like you do that too, but you do that with so many different... Like, I don't know how you keep track, because you can't remember to take out the trash. I don't know how you remember, it's this day, like, Billie Eilish's album is coming out, or this is happening this day, and oh my gosh, did you know that this person has an album out? You'll tell me at, like, 10 a.m. the next day, and you listened when it came out at 3 a.m. last night?
Yeah. So I think that's what's taking up all my brain power. That's why I forget to do so many things.
You're just so focused on music calendar in your brain.
And
you
lyrics.
Can't think of anything else.
All lyrics and when artists are coming out with new music, that kind of stuff just kind of really sticks in my brain. But a lot of it is when I follow certain artists on like Instagram and stuff, they'll post about like their stuff, or Apple Music oftentimes, if I have the artist favorited, will send me a notification telling me that they have come out with a new album.
Wait, I can favorite an artist?
Yeah.
I didn't know I could do that.
Yep, and then I'll put it in your favorite artists tab.
That would have been really helpful for this list.
Yep.
Because I actually struggled a little bit too. Like I didn't think I would, but I think it's because of you actually that now my music is like, it's always been like, could be from any genre, but now it's like there's so many new artists that are coming out, especially after COVID. I feel like COVID like jump started people to be like, you know what, I could be coming out with music, I could put it on TikTok, I could, just put it out there and get the name out on social media like this is how I could become popular. And a lot of people have done that and been really successful with it. So I feel like there's so many more new artists to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I have all these new artists that I'm listening to that I really, really like. And I'm like, okay, who were my old top ones? Okay, I've always liked this artist. Are they still in top 5 now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Literally.
I don't know if they've been bumped. How can I say they've been bumped when I liked them for the last 15 years?
No, facts, actually.
You know?
Yeah. I definitely know. Because as you were telling me to go look for my top 5, I struggled. I was like, I really like this artist. I don't know where they rank. Yeah. Because I don't really do that in my head. I really like this artist. I really like this artist and this artist and this artist. Mm-hmm. So it was really difficult for me to come up with any artists at all. Just because I know so many, my mind just kind of blanks from all the options. It's very, very tough.
Yeah. And I remember maybe a couple months ago, we started going through we went through our Apple Music on computers so that we could see our top most played songs and stuff like that.
Yep.
That didn't help me at all with trying to figure out my favorite artists, because all of my top songs are songs that I've been listening to for 10, 15 years. Or freaking, what was it, G minor concerto or something was my number one song that I've listened to something crazy 6,000 times.
Oh my gosh, it was something crazy like that.
Yeah. But that didn't help me at all either, because I think that I've had this conversation with Mallory before, and I do think that 2 of these people are still on my list. I'm not sure where exactly. But Lady Gaga has always been really high on my list because of, as an artist, because who she is as a person, how well she is as a singer. And she had her Joanne album that came out that really spoke to me more than a lot of her past music had before. And then it made me go back to her past music and listen to those songs and actually listen to the lyrics and stuff. So Lady Gaga is definitely on the list. I'm not sure where she is necessarily.
Right.
I'm not even sure if she is top 5. I feel like she's top 10 for sure. But, she's somewhere on there. But, again, the only reason I don't know exactly where she is because maybe 2 years ago I would have said she's number 2. For sure. Right. 100%. Now, there's so many other artists I've been listening to. It's so hard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you ruined me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. An artist that I've, since almost day one of listening to their music, has been super high on my list is NF. Mm-hmm. NF, he's a Christian rapper, but his music don't scream Christian lyrics, which is very, he doesn't swear, he doesn't at all in his songs, which is super, kind of refreshing in the rap industry, because it's just pure lyrical genius.
Not relying on curse words as a crutch.
Right. Yeah. So his songs can invoke so much emotion that I'm not a crier, but some of his songs, they'll get me tearing up.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm alone and like really thinking about like maybe his experiences that he might have gone through the songs. Mm-hmm. It is so emotional. He's got such good emotional wordplay in his songs.
Yeah, I remember you were like going through all of his music before you went to his concert.
Yeah.
For like months, you were like, I need to know every word.
Yep.
I need to make sure I'm on it.
And I'll tell you what, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to that concert in Salt Lake. Dude, the best concert I've ever been to. It was so good.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like I haven't been to a lot of concerts necessarily. Like, my first concert was the Jonas Brothers.
Okay, wow.
Back in their heyday, before they reformed again after Nick Jonas, did his own thing for a while.
Yeah.
Way before that, I was there when they were like, singing like angsty teenagers, and I was here for it because I also was an angsty teenager. But that was my first concert, and I remember having that experience, and I was like, didn't realize that I loved the concert part of it. I just thought, I'm in love with the Jonas Brothers, and that's why this is so much fun. And then when I went to California, I would go to concerts with Angie I would go with her to concerts for Jason Mraz, and I like Jason Mraz as an artist. I never thought I would think of him as being in the top 10, but like I think he might be in there just because of how loving his music is. Like, it's so like it's all about like inclusion and like love and caring and this like beautiful peacefulness or whatever.
Right.
And his concert, freaking great. Like, I feel like there's so many artists who live are kind of like not as good as they are in the studio because there's so much studio stuff that they do to like not necessarily make them sound good, but to make the song sound good, that live it's just not the same. Right. Jason Mraz, better somehow.
Wow.
In person.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't even like him that much when I went to it was literally like his 40th birthday celebration. It was like, listen to all, you guys love my music and you love all of my songs and you know all of my songs, and so this is a concert for that person. And I was like, I know 3 of your songs.
Yeah. I know the top 3 songs that you've ever played.
Yep. I know I'm yours. If you play that, I'm good. Like, I'm going to be waving my hands back and forth. But at that concert, he had Sarah Bareilles, who I really like a lot. And,
Colby? Was that Colby?
Yeah, Colby Calais. There you go. But yeah, I still have the videos from that, of like my Snapchats from that, because it was so freaking great. I was crying. I wasn't even drunk.
That's crazy.
Because I was 20 and it was illegal, so of course I wasn't drunk.
Obviously.
But yeah, so that's when I realized that I think I just like concerts. I think I just enjoy seeing people live when they do it well.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they're a really good singer, almost always their concerts are going to be really good, because they're not so much using kind of the atmosphere that a studio can give you. Mm-hmm. They're used to playing in front of thousands of people and sounding good, which is very difficult for sure.
And I think like for Jason Mraz, like he got his start literally playing in like coffee shops and stuff. Yeah. So like he's used to playing live in front of people, and like so many of his songs have like, scatting in it and stuff, and it was just fun to be there, and his scat being completely different than like the studio version. It was like a new song, it felt like, because I'm like doing the scat on the studio version and he's scatting something else, and I'm like, we're collaborating. And it just felt like so crazy, so different, and I loved it. But yeah, speaking of concerts, I am trying my damnedest to get us to go to a Hozier concert at the end of the summer, because I think I'm in love with Hozier. I think this is my new, Jonas Brothers.
Dude, I can't even blame you. Hozier, he makes some great music, and I would love to go to that concert. Just damn if those tickets are not expensive.
He's like, and this is, none of what I'm going to say right now is about the music. He is tall. He's handsome. He's Irish.
Need you say any more?
He's a feminist. He's an ally.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But I always liked his song "Take Me to Church." When that came out, that was so good, and I loved the meaning behind it, and I loved the cadence of his voice. It was so unique, I feel like, to most songs that were super popular, and that one was a really popular song.
Yeah, that skyrocketed.
Like, I don't think there's anybody who at least doesn't know
of
that's
the song. Yeah.
And so, like, when that came out, I really loved that song. I learned it forwards, backwards, sideways. Sideways. You could sing, like, 2 words of the song, I Know Exactly Where You Are. But yeah, he's definitely up there. I'm pretty sure he's 2. Like, if I had to definitively say top 5, he's number 2. And Lady Gaga is somewhere underneath that.
For sure. Who would you say is your number 1?
Find out my answer next week in the next episode, because this is the end of this one. I split this episode into 2 parts because me and Lucas definitely talked for a long time about music. In next week's episode, you'll hear us finish up this conversation about music and go into playing a little game together. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.